Welcome to Circuit Breakers. My name is Dallas. That there's Taylor, and season 11 is almost wrapped, but we're here right before the season finale in London because we have a very special episode and a very special guest. Put your collective electric racing hands together for SB10FE joining us here on Circuit Breakers.
Hello, everybody. I'm SB10. Huge thanks to Dallas and Taylor for inviting me on here. It is truly an honor to be on here. And today is going to be quite an interesting episode, to say the least.
Yeah, so we are running back what we did last year, predicting what the grid will look like next year. We have all the teams that at this point we know will exist going into next season. Of course, this is Formula E, so this can change very fast, but we figured let's hop on here before things get too buck wild and make our guesses.
Yeah, if Formula E figures out how to pay off their credit cards in time, they might just be able to save McLaren on top of Maserati. We'll see. But yeah, super excited to have SB10 here with us for this, I'm surely wildly accurate and at the exact same time, incredibly inaccurate turn of events for what we expect a driver's lineup to look like in a slight graveyard of driver potential that's befalling our franchise right now.
Honestly, even if we get a few of these teams completely correct, I will go out of today thinking it's a success because Formula E, out of all the motorsports there are, is probably the hardest to predict the lineup of just because things can change in the blink of an eye. Like, we could post this episode tomorrow, and then 2 days later, a whole bunch of storylines come out that completely disprove this. So it really is just a shot in the dark.
Well, that's why I'm so excited that you're here, SB, because Taylor and I we've kind of established ourselves as the village idiots in Formula E as far as covering the media. So we actually have like a smart, well-rounded, educated fan who makes top-notch content here to give some insight. No, play up to it. Play up to it.
Oh, man. Well, I have a PhD in Formula E, obviously, so I'm going to get each and every one of these correct. It is just a given. It's 100%, yeah. I did one of these predictions. I didn't do one last year, but I did one going from season 8 to season 9, and I found it on my computer just a few days ago, and dude, like, I don't know what I was thinking back then. Like, I had, like, Alice Powell going to Envision, and like Oliver Rowland going to a new Techeetah team that was Nissan powered. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. But to be honest, I'm probably going to get as many correct tonight as I did then. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, just to kick it off for everyone as well, you may notice that there is, in fact, only 20 seats here. And that is because we are making this after a recent announcement of McLaren not being expected to be on the grid going forward. But as far as new brands or new titles for the race teams, we might have some speculation that we put into the commentary, but it is not entirely part of it. We're mostly just looking at which drivers can manage to sink and which drivers will manage to swim as we lose 2 whole seats from this grid. Last year, we thought we were adding an additional seat, and this year we're actually reducing additional seats. So, I think without further ado, we might need to just jump into it and get started with our first team.
Yeah, so let's start with Andretti and SB10 as our distinguished guest. If you want to give your picks, who you think is going to be sitting in those Andretti seats next season?
All right. Well, first and foremost, I have Jake Dennis because he already has a contract in place. I mean, he's basically Mr. Andretti, quote unquote, of Formula E. He's been there since season 7, I believe, and has had many, many teammates. But honestly, I see Andretti doing everything in their power to keep him because he's a top talent in Formula E. Probably better than what the Andretti team has been capable of producing for him this year. But if they lose him, I'd be a little concerned about Andretti staying in the series. But for next season, at the very least, I have Dennis staying. Alongside him, though, is quite a hotly debated seat among many different drivers on the grid. But the name I have is Frederick Vesti. I think we'll get our first rookie on the grid next year. And for those who watch my videos, I think the Andretti curse will continue on for another year.
Another commentator pundit, a new commentator pundit for us.
Yeah, I think Frederick Vesti is going to he's going to do great in commentary for season 13. But no, I think that 6 years in a row, it's gonna continue on. I mean, Nico Muller has been highly linked to be leaving Andretti, going to either Porsche or wherever he may go. We'll get to that later. So for me, it was between Vesti and Jack Crawford for me, because I do think Andretti is looking to plan for their future, for their Gen 4 era. And though I think Crawford was the better driver in the rookie tests and is probably higher rated, he's in the battle for an F2 title right now. So I don't know if he'll want to sign a deal that locks him in for next year until he can A, win that title, and B, evaluate his options in F1. But I think that Vesti will welcome Formula E and get the call up by Andretti, and next year will just be a learning year for him. And we'll see what he can do when the Gen 4 era starts.
You've likened the second Andretti seat, if I'm not mistaken, in your videos to equating it to what Red Bull has been going through.
Yes.
And so bold move if they go with a rookie and just throw him out there, because we've seen what's happened with David Beckmann so far this year in a very capable Cupra Kiro Gen 3 car.
Yeah. Muller, I think, is the first fresh, kind of undiscovered talent. Like historically, they had been running with Lauderer, who was, just dragging ass the entire time. And they let's put Muller in. And, Muller actually has been, when you look at it, been performing decently well. I mean, it's been peaks and valleys for him. But, I think that he is actually maybe doing too well for that second seat, where he's like, I know they're never getting rid of Jake Dennis because they're not about to lose the sex appeal for the entire Andretti organization.
True.
So we're going to have to, find another option in case they decide to cut me out of nowhere. So I think, there is a potential for Andretti. And likewise, I had considered Jack Crawford, but it was I think he still has that pipe dream that F1 is going to come knocking next year, as they always do. But Dallas, I think you're next on the docket for pulling Andretti.
I am. And Andretti, the first seat, easy. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with the most handsome face in the sport, the face of the team. But that second seat is a little questionable. And I think that Antonio Felix da Costa's time at Porsche as the AI trainer, I think we talked about this in the last episode.
That's a move.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't want to fall into the Porsche line and just be a company man. He needs to be a free spirit. He's a peacock. He needs to fly. And I think flying with Andretti and Jake Dennis, I think that would be a really good pairing to see.
Yes. I think that Andretti does feel a bit like a demotion for da Costa, but maybe it's one that helps pull around.
Again, to be happy again, what would you sacrifice?
He wants Love Island to come calling each and every year, right?
Man, they are two very, very big personalities, and I mean, dare I say, two top 5 talents in Formula E. So there's going to be a bit of back and forth if this move does happen for that number 1 driver spot, I think, in my opinion. But that is an interesting move.
I think they're both too good for Andretti at this current juncture in the
100%.
series. That would be, they would have to be. That would be like us, like when we first saw De Vries and Mortara go into Mahindra. We're like, these idiots. That's how I feel about the idea of both Dennis and da Costa driving for Andretti right now.
We don't know what happens behind closed doors. That's all I'm saying.
I get you.
It's very true.
Well, for my Andretti pick, I additionally also did Jake Dennis because I think that he
insane.
Basically, I think that he is basically probably a quarter of their annual budget for operation at this point. Between the tanning and the haircuts, they have to keep him mint condition. And for my second driver and at Andretti, I am actually going to be going for Nico Muller. I think Nico has, in fact, kept himself in line well enough, and I think that he's probably looking at some of the other grid with kind of some confusion and skepticism about how they're operating, with so much shakeup that's actually happening all at the same time. And with the potential of DaCosta leaving and them really considering Nico Muller, I'm like, does he want to go against Pascal right now when he is kind of in the shadow of Dennis as it is already, to keep training up in the Andretti organization and make sure that he's making that move to Porsche with more confidence and let someone else burn out there and become a desperation call up? I think that's the strategy play for Muller, is if DaCosta's leaving, put someone else in there to crash and burn, and then go in there and pick up the pieces in the following season.
It's a good point.
No, yeah, that is... All three of us had different Andretti lineups, which is something I wasn't really expecting.
I know. But one smiling Jake Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis is eternal, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, I do agree with you that Nico Muller, he hasn't done anything to warrant being dropped by Andretti per se. It's that, in my opinion, I just don't think he has done enough to warrant a promotion. If you can say that, or at least to warrant being stayed at Andretti, if that makes sense. But
I think he's scored more points than all other second seats at Andretti.
No, he definitely has. Yeah,
like this year. So in my opinion, I think Andretti's like, I don't know, like what else we got on order? What are we gonna do? Tick him like that PR nightmare? No, we're not ready for that. You know, so it's its own system that needs to be put in place, and I feel like this is maybe the most consistent second seat they've had so far. But also, I don't know, it's Andretti. Like, who knows?
Yeah,
what's
you
gonna
never
happen.
really know what they're gonna do.
You never know. But I'm holding out hope that Nico Muller keeps that seat properly fitted for the next year.
And moving on to arguably the surprise of this season, racing in year-old tech at Cupra Kiro. You mentioned the PR nightmare for any other team, but for Kiro, they relish it. They love it. They want it. They need our Lord and Savior Dan Ticktum in that seat. He's not going anywhere. But David Beckmann, I think he is going anywhere but that second Kiro seat. Now, when I was first started building this out, I thought, okay, who would be like the dream seat next to Dan Ticktum? Now that he's won a race, he's in a competitive car, good chance that the sunset of the Gen 3 Evo era, we might see more performance out of this car and hopefully more performance out of the team, because let me remind you, gentlemen, which you already know, all of Kairo's points are all of Dan Ticktum's points. He has done it all by himself on
single-handedly. Yes.
But who could we throw in there? Might not get points because he hasn't been doing great this season, but just as a dynamic duo, 1-2 punch, I am speaking of none other than Jake A. Benny Hughes.
Dallas, I remember I soft pitched this idea when we were doing a little post-episode speculation. And I realized that team has just become like your wet dream of a racing team. And the worst thing is about it, as I've mentioned historically, is that this is a viable team, like a viably strong team with where they're at and their performance. Like, I don't think I ever could have imagined that being a good career move. But to go from a Titanic sinking ship that's on the way out to a Cupra Kiro right now, which
it's a rising phoenix.
It's been a place where drivers have historically gone to die for never getting a shot in good equipment. And now it feels like it's a contested race seat. Like, they're going to give Jake Hughes a mullet and an attitude problem and be like, hey, be yourself, buddy.
Imagine the social content we could get with Jake Hughes at that 2 spot.
I know. Like the Hughes Tictum dynamic is amazing. Like right now, it's like he's babysitting his awkward cousin, and now he's going to have this delightful English chap.
He's going to get a big brother.
Exactly.
No, you guys are spot on. I mean, for Jake Hughes, this would definitely be an upwards move, not even a lateral move, because I feel like, Maserati is most definitely a sinking ship right now, and Jake Hughes is probably the forgotten child of the 6-way Stellantis operation. So going somewhere where he could not only be competitive, but also be, appreciated would definitely be a good move on Hughes' part if he can just pull that off.
Yes, entirely true. And that's why, for my Cupra Kiro seats, I have Dan Tictum and Jake Hughes.
Wow. Okay.
I'm manifesting it. I know that maybe Kairo's listening to us, and if you haven't signed those checks yet, get it in now. If there's anyone that's going to send Jake Hughes back in time via a pit boost mishap, I want it to be the hands of an LA consulting agency. Wow. That's what I want. And honestly, like I think that Kiro has put in the work as a team to start really making those steps forward. And they have a lot of confidence and momentum right now to be like a real team. Like when I first saw that Cupra was taking on the sponsorship, the title sponsorship of that team, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess Apt is now fully engrossed and they want to remain in the spotlight. But what that team has done with that additional kind of perspective and that growth has made them, I think, viable and a valuable testing ground for these kind of midfield drivers that have had like some really good peaks, but maybe not had the consistency from haphazard team dynamics to get a chance to actually contend for podiums and positions. I mean, Cupra is a race winning package for the first time in like 10 years. 11 years. Yeah, 10 years. Season 1 is the first time that they won, and they have not done something since. So I think it's frankly, it's a fantastic move for Jake to potentially move that space there. I don't know what that means. Move that space there?
Move that space there.
They're moving time and space at Kiro.
That's right.
Oh man, but I gotta agree with you. I mean, Kiro is just such days away from where Neo was at, and then where ERT was at, and in just the past few years, they completely transformed the whole image of the team. Not only hiring Dan Tictum, but I mean, you guys have joked on here, but with their social media coverage, I mean, they are probably one of the fans, and for that reason, I have Dan Tictum, of course, sticking with the team. I think that they're doing anything in their power to keep him, quite frankly. But next to him, I have a bit of an interesting name. Not David Beckmann, of course. I mean, he's been thrown out into the whatever.
He's getting back to the nightclub.
He's being vaporized. But next to Dan Tictum, I have Nico Muller.
Oh,
now, yeah. So we've at least I've suspected since the very beginning when Cupra Kiro was created earlier this year, not even early last year. Hiring David Beckmann was a move to assert some dominance by Porsche over this team. And there have been rumors lately about Andretti potentially moving away from Porsche in the Gen 4 era, moving to Nissan powertrains. And I just don't think there's a reason to keep Nico Muller around if he's just going to be gone in a year's time. I think that Andretti's taking the year to develop a new talent. Meanwhile, Nico Muller can move over to a team where he's still in that Porsche bubble and is still fairly competitive. Cupra Kiro, it's honestly been better than Andretti at times this season with an outdated powertrain, as crazy as it is to say.
Yeah.
And having having a lineup of both Muller and Ticktum is a pretty strong one, in my opinion. I mean, Muller, when his back is against the wall, when he's in the lower equipment on the grid, he has shown more than he's shown at Andretti, in my opinion. And if you ask me, I think that this team next year is going to be an audition team for the Porsche seat in 2020, 2026, 2027, between Dan Ticktum and Nico Muller. I know Porsche isn't really keen on Dan Ticktum right now, but they can't deny the talent he has. And putting both Ticktum and Muller in an equal car is going to let them assess both of them and see who they want to promote for the Gen 4 era. So that is why I have Nico Muller taking a bit of a step back, but really a lateral move towards Cupra Kiro.
Playing the long game.
Yeah,
playing the long game. It is Porsche. They do have access to a mainframe talent that is able to predict long-term success ranges. And you know, it's actually funny because I considered a similar move happening, knowing that Andretti was like in talks, I guess, not confirmed, I don't think yet, of that Nissan powertrain, which is frankly also something I'm incredibly excited about because those are my two favorite teams, is Andretti and Nissan. I was like, thank God. I was hoping someone else was going to pick up that prized gem of a powertrain that Nissan has been putting together. I don't know if it's going to stay that way going into Gen 4, but I wanted to see more come of Andretti because it's been a rivalry between Andretti and Porsche over the past few years. Like Pascal and Dennis hating each other on track actively. I was like, this is so weird that they are also in bond. Like, I think my favorite scene in racing is when Michael Andretti literally like kicked down the door to the quiet German engineer's room. Like, what the f- are you doing with my driver? Like, that was my favorite moment. I was like, there's no way they're going to stay Porsche powertrains for the history of this squad. And so that makes sense that Cupra is really auditioning to also probably take that second manufacturer.
No, 100%, yeah.
You know, like, especially now that McLaren's leaving, there is, I think, more reason for those privateer teams to step into a role on the grid and do that auditioning. So I think that's actually probably a good move. It seems, it's so weird for me to say it, but it seems like such a demotion still in my mouth to say it. Like, it feels like heresy. It feels like heresy, but it's not, you know? Yeah. All right. Good picks.
All right. DS Penske.
Yeah, Taylor, who do you got? Who do you got starting at Jay Penske's Emporium?
Yes. DS Penske. Will it be DS? I don't know. I'm fairly certain that it's not DS Penske for much longer, but we'll see what the reality is. I know it's Penske, at least that much I know.
Yeah.
But I think that this one has also mostly been leaked to the news via confident reports from the race. So my pick is not anything radical, but what is projected, which is we're going to have the Gunt, and we're going to follow that up with Kid Roblox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And boy, ain't that just a swift Aryan lineup ready to go. Yeah.
Penske
but
youth.
that's it.
It's
I mean,
bright.
honestly, the worst part about that real murderer team, like that team is going to be pretty deadly on track. Between getting consistently in that pole starting position duels regularly, you know, Gunter not as frequently able to capitalize, but mostly that's just because he's getting tons of brake urgents, software malfunctions.
Penske needs to fix that. If
Red
they fix
card.
that,
yeah. No,
If
they need
they're
to
formidable
see. Yes, the less brake urgents that they have, the more scary Gunter becomes for me. And with the addition of basically almost always probably being in that front pole range with the like qualifying prowess that is Taylor Barnard, I feel like they're going to be essentially the like high tier belt for points. Like, you either have to beat the Penskes to get in the top 5, or you are just going to be below 5th every race. Like, I feel like they're going to be just consistently in that higher tier band and also like in podiums consistently. I think that they just have that like really aggressive performance goal mentality that they're pushing forward, and it's showing up in the way that they're racing.
I think you hit it spot on, Taylor, because my lineup is the exact same as yours.
Did you read the same article as me?
Potentially. I think we're all reading the same articles.
I think we're all reading the same articles.
Yeah, but this lineup is it's young, but it's really deadly, honestly, especially in qualifying, like you mentioned. I am a little scared next season to see how these two do when fighting each other, because I think they both have super high ceilings.
Yeah.
And there's no real veteran presence at that team, I guess you can say, no elder statesman. But I don't know. The only thing that has me scared for both Gunther and Barnard is the Gen 4 era. This is very much a team planned for the Gen 4 era. And if Penske is going away from DS and making their own powertrains, that has me a little scared, because we've seen in the Gen 2 era how they did with their own powertrains. So I'm hoping that these two aren't victims of their own team here, and can stay competitive. But for next season, these two are definitely ones to watch.
Yes, I think it's a short-term gain for potential long-term pain is maybe what they're setting themselves up for. If we get these hot young talents early on and really just absolutely destroy next season with success, maybe people will be more compelled to give us a top-level power unit.
Yeah. I mean, they've been in talks with Porsche as well, I believe. And to form Porsche Penske, which is in no relation to the other Porsche Penske.
I know. It'd be an interesting conclusion. Yeah, because Jay Penske's brand is not his father's brand.
No.
It is the media brand, which has always been confusing to me. But don't say too much, because we'll get removed from the internet.
Well, it's no surprise. It's weird when we get news in Formula E as speculation that is such like well-rooted and founded speculation. So yeah, I'm going with the Gunt and Kid Roblox as well. It will be interesting to see Taylor Barnard in a field with a teammate nearby, because this last year with McLaren, Sam Bird was just nowhere to be found.
Right.
And so he didn't really have to worry. Everyone around him was the enemy. Some of the most aggressive racing that I've ever seen from such a young chap. And if you put a teammate, if you put Max Gunther, position ahead, position behind, just in that field, it could get a little squirrely. We could go from red cars this season to double DNFs because of incidents next season. So we'll see, but I am excited for this team.
Yeah, it honestly shocks me sometimes looking at races this season, some of the moves that Barnard has pulled, that he's still a rookie. Yeah. Like, dude has just come to Formula E and just fully adapted. He's a better driver right now than a lot of the champions in the grid, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he got the incubation cell from Sam Bird last year. Sam Bird crashed just to make sure that Barnard could get a little more familiar with the driving and set him in. But then also, we got all-wheel drive attack mode and all of the craziness that is this new season, radically different than last year. And the way that he's adapted and just stuck it in has been wild.
I as a Sam Bird fan, I'd like to take credit for most of this, because, it was Sam Bird who created him. He wouldn't be here without Sam Bird. But
exactly, that's how I feel. Is Taylor Barnard will live on with bits of Sam Bird, just in his spirit. It's like looking at your young self. Like,
it's symbolic,
flying off into the future.
And it'd be interesting to think if Taylor Barnard was using any sort of life force sucking spells to extract all of the knowledge and experience from Sam Bird And I think that's a good segue to our actual School of the Dark Arts team
Yes.
with Envision, Sylvain Felipe, and all the pentagrams and all sorts of unknown happenings to put points on the board. SB10, who is your Envision grid for next
Good
year?
luck.
Oh,
Good
man.
luck.
Well, first of all, I do have Mr. Count Buemi returning to Envision. Because,
Yes.
to put it very simply, winning does a lot in terms of confidence. I was fully expecting this year to be his last season, but he's been really solid this year, even outside of that win in Monaco. And
Yeah.
that race just did show that he still has it. He is not washed. I think he stays for at least one more year, and might even stay for the Gen 4 if he has a decent year next year. But next to him, I don't have Robin Freins. I think that this is his last hurrah for Formula E. He's had a pretty bad season. Most of it has been due to bad luck, but also part of it has been due to just not being there to capitalize. I mean, he's behind Norman Nato in points, which should speak for itself.
And that says a lot, considering that he has been at the front of the pack for the past couple races.
No, yeah,
and then
exactly.
Has not scored any points.
Yeah, it's sad because at the Gen 2 era, in the Gen 2 area, I thought he was a top 5 driver, destined to win, a championship at least.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't been able to adapt to the higher energy Gen 3 racing. And I think that, his heart just might not be in it anymore. At least so I can hope in terms of my predictions, because the driver I have going to Envision, it's not going to be the same, of course, since I have Jake Hughes going to Envision.
Hey!
Yeah, honestly, I think that Jake Hughes is a little bit overrated in Formula E, but I don't think he deserves to be out of the sport
You
entirely.
take that back, SP10. Dallas is right here.
Look, man, he was on par with Sam Bird, and Sam Bird is, as much as I hate to say it, kind of washed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Coming from being basically a refugee from the sinking ship that is Maserati, I think coming to Envision is going to be a decent spot for him. Alongside Sebastian Buemi, who has a pretty good track record of having young driver teammates. I mean, he was teammates with Roland, Gunther, and Cassidy, and they've all gone on to do pretty good things. So maybe this is where Jake Hughes turns his career around and finally becomes a decent-ish driver.
Absorb some of the dark teachings from Sylvain Felipe.
We can hope.
Maybe prick his thumb and sign in blood, only to have an ominous figure arise. If he comes into next year and he has the Spider-Man 2 emo cut for he's
it
turned
would
into
suit him, honestly.
I would think that we have a world champion in the mix, and it's bound in blood.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to come up with something for him.
Yes, yeah. Well, to be fair, his Victorian past does align with the dark arts.
That's
fairly
true.
well.
Yeah.
True. That's
And
true.
Age of the Arcanum is something Jake Hughes feels like he could embody quite well.
I am definitely interested to see who you guys have, though, because it's kind of an unpredictable one. Dallas, go ahead.
It is.
Yeah. So when Taylor and I were in Portland and we did the pit walk and got our autographs, Envision was at the very front of the pit lane because the previous season they had won the team's championship.
Oh boy.
And there was, we've talked about it before, there was a dark cloud hanging over that garage. Neither Count Buemi or the glass wrist himself, Robin Freins, looked happy. They weren't having a good day. And I thought back then, we're going to see either both of them gone next season or at least one of them. And they turned it around. I think because of the dark magic, dark clouds doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing in the way they do business. And so with that, I'm keeping the Envision lineup the same.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just trying to darken the skies a little bit so that they don't cook Buemi with the sun. Yeah, I mean, I will be honest. They were sad. That the sullen look. It was like they were on the way to a funeral. Like there was a black Cadillac hearse lining up at the starting line beside them. And they actually turned around, I think scored points, and that's what saved them. They turned it around and made it work. But I think both you and SB10 are correct in that Buemi is racing there next year. Because he did break a curse, a significant curse for that team recently. One that was a cavity that was left by Cassidy. But I think Envision is in this very weird place where, like, every year they have a driver, like, or the last couple years, I should say, there's a driver missing for Tempelhof. Sometimes both of them.
Right.
It sucks for both of them. They finally got their whole lineup here at Berlin this year, and only one of them really performed. Freins has led like a dozen laps this season and has scored no points on those races. It's sad. And historically, like you said, the Gen 2 era, Robin Freins was one of my all-time favorite drivers. I picked him countless times for my fantasy league, expecting him to perform, only to be let down in the Gen 3 era. It has done nothing but bite me. And it's ever since he blew up his damn wrist. Yep. He cannot race his cars anymore. The wrist trauma has just not been the drill. And maybe that was, the devil in the details. It's like when he signed that contract, it's like, we will make you an elite racing driver, but the cost was his wrist. And when he lost his wrist, it just voided the contract. Yeah. So he is not my second driver. I have a wild card pick for the second seat of Envision here. I got Felipe. I got Drogovic.
Ooh.
I think, especially after like capitalizing a little bit in Mahindra, he has been floating around both the Formula E and the F1 paddock, and I think just like as each year goes by and he is not called up into Formula One, he is frankly losing his mind. And he's feeling more and more encouraged to just race and maybe get like an actual paycheck and actually entertain the idea of racing. And I don't think he wants to go to like a backmarker team or something that isn't quite qualified for his pedigree of racing. And I don't think that there's probably an immediate in at Mahindra where he is like a kind of an analogous driver in that fold. He's an analogous driver for, I feel like, so many teams. But I think that it would be a smart move. I don't think this is the move that's going to happen. I think it would be a smart move for them to pick up Drogovic.
I think that's a really good shout. I mean, I could go off about Felipe Drogovic. I think that he is he's done more backlash for Formula E than maybe anyone else. I mean, how do you turn down the defending champions in Andretti giving you a contract, pen to paper, right in front of you? I don't know, man. Drogovic is never... Yeah. He's super impressive. He was super impressive at Berlin. He's been super impressive in all the tests. And I think Envision would frankly be lucky to have him. It's just if his own ego gets in his own way.
And I think that it always will. But also, I think that watching Lance Stroll continually drive that car that that he's supposed to be in, that he was promised like 6 years ago when Lance is tired of driving, I think he's just losing his mind. And every year that he's not driving that car, he is basically getting further away from both F1 and Formula E. And he's at a precipice where he has to make a decision. And there's plenty of seats bouncing around right now, but there's also a lot of experienced drivers that are snatching him up. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be a smart move.
I could see it.
Uber confidence. Let's move on to another team that has struggled to find confidence for the last year. It's been a long year for Jaguar. The era of the favorite son is no more. We do know that nice guy Nick Cassidy is on the outs. And so I'm keeping Mitch Evans in that seat. This is truly his team.
Yeah.
Things have not gone great for him in the long run on this team. He's a well-deserved driver. He's loyal as all hell. Didn't have some stepbrother that came in, tried it for a couple years and bounced. So Mitch Evans in that first spot, no change there. And then my second seat is another one of those floaters, a guy that's looking for a home because of Maserati. I would like to see Stoffel Van Dorn in that other seat at Jaguar.
That is a smart pick.
That is a smart pick, and that is a team that I would love to see race. I'm kind of skeptical, but I would love to see that team race. God damn it.
Man, Mitch Evans has just had a year, hasn't he? It's been tough because, you know, he's been competing for a championship ever since season 6, ever since season 5. Discounting season 6, but straight years he's been competing for a championship, and then he's down in P15, P14 before this Berlin weekend.
Yeah, Dallas and I recognized recently that he has 2 wins and I think one like 9th place or something like that, and those are his only points this year. It's like feast or famine, man. It's nuts.
And it's tough because it's mostly been due to bad luck, honestly. I mean, just anything that could happen, that could go wrong, goes wrong for him. I mean, you look at Tokyo, man. What even happened? Just the qualifying hasn't been there. The race pace, it's been But I think he will bounce back next year.
I'm starting to think that I have like a new theory, okay? Because Cassidy came from Envision, so he had some dark arts training. And I think he came into Jaguar utilizing it for the common good of the team, to push the team. But when it started to come to shove, and it was Mitch over Cassidy coming into those final things, I think Cassidy is leaving Jaguar cursed. I think he put a curse on Mitch Evans and is flipping the bird on the way out and said, let's see your title championship crumble this year and next year and the rest of your life. I think that is the dark truth of Mitch Evans' future. But I also think that Stoffel Van Dorn is a perfect yes man to run alongside Mitch Evans. I think historically he's always been a perfect yes man. In every team that he's been a part of, he even got a championship title just by being a perfect yes man and just being consistently in the points. I think he's a fantastic addition to kind of maybe like smooth out some of the damage and some of the kind of downfall that's happening in Jaguar right now, Dallas. I think that's a keen pick. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it happen. Because I think what's going to happen at Jaguar is going to be Mitch Evans and Antonio the Human DaCosta.
Ooh.
I think DaCosta is tired of being a servant to AI, and I think, frankly, I don't know. This probably wasn't my first choice for him. Looking at the grid, I was actually thinking he was probably going to stay with Porsche, but I think that actually Ian James moving over to Jaguar recently, and just seeing the success that he's put into the McLaren team over the past couple of years, I think that it would actually be an appealing choice for someone who is a charismatic team spirit that has that kind of personal drive and wants to succeed at a personal level. Antonio Felix DaCosta thrives on when he gets to take risks. And Porsche says, no risks. No way. Never. We are calculated and, in a way, the least charismatic team on the grid. and they push him aside for his endearing personality and his glowing personality. And I think that Jaguar right now, especially with where their brand is looking for an additional top-notch signing to reinvigorate the team after a pretty tumultuous season. And I think that that's a really good hire for new cat daddy Ian James to potentially try to lock down and keep the future of that team healthy.
DaCosta is a really interesting signing because for the past few years with Jaguar especially, or at least with at least the last 2 years, it's really been the case of, okay, who's the favorite child, between Evans and Cassidy. They're two really, really good drivers. And this season, it's been, okay, we have two good drivers. Our car kind of sucks, but at least one of them will be able to do well in some races. And that, I guess, that could work with DaCosta as well. But if Jaguar does go back up to having a championship contending operation, I feel like Evans and DaCosta are two clashing personalities that will get into it. Maybe even more than Cassidy did, because, let's face it, Evans and Cassidy were friends. Evans and DaCosta, I don't really know. They could be friends. I'm not really sure about that.
Who couldn't be friends with Antonio Felix DaCosta?
Right.
Who couldn't, right?
Who
the
couldn't?
most likable guy in Formula E. But yeah, that's honestly, in terms of getting the ship righted at Jaguar, because it's been nothing but disappointment this season. I think that DaCosta is a really good signing for them. It is not the name I've gone for, though, because I do agree with Dallas.
Let's see.
Mitch Evans and Stoffel Van Dorn will be the two drivers at Jaguar next season. In terms of them, both of them are really good friends. And I just think that having Ian James over at the Jaguar team, who has worked with Stoffel Van Dorn in the past, they basically built that Mercedes team from scratch, got the two championships. I think that they'll get the most out of each other. And I think that Van Dorn right now isn't really at a stage to challenge Mitch Evans, at least on track. So we'll have a clear number one, number two driver. And I think that's just what they need right now to rebuild.
That's true. That's
maybe
fair.
Stoff can give Mitch some pointers of like, hey, I actually won a championship, even though you haven't done it yet. Like, this is what I did.
That is who he beat for season 8. It was Van Dorn and Evans.
Yeah. Damn it. Yeah, I think you guys are probably right. That makes a lot more sense than what I did. But I like the idea of DaCosta coming in and just whipping his nuts out at Jaguar saying, hey, we're going to win a championship. And then having Evans work for it again. But yeah, that actually makes significantly more sense. It is a far more stable signing than DaCosta. Oh, God dang it. You guys are totally right. All right.
Just wait, man. Just wait.
Okay. All right. You crazy kids.
Jaguar's going to sign Beckmann in a couple days. Nothing is set.
Exactly.
Remember the sport that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, exactly. Lola Yamaha ABT. One of the weirdest teams on the grid. Truly top to bottom. I forget that they're in the series, and then simultaneously I see Degrassi manage to just waltz into the points and and unrightfully earn a podium. And huge accomplishments for a team that's just starting out with a brand new power unit. There's so much testing, but they actually have made pretty good gains. They're still, I think, the benchmark of a backmarker team right now.
Right.
It's like them and Maserati that are really kind of struggling, but Maserati's won a race, though I don't think it was simultaneously warranted a victory. So I think that right now Lola is just looking for stability, and I think they're going to keep Degrassi because that's an all-star signing of someone who's been in it since the very start and who's consistently putting in good laps for that team. And in addition to Degrassi, I think they're going to keep Maloney around, though I don't like him. I've said it a dozen times. I don't like him. I don't like looking at him. I don't like this driver. But I think that they need consistency, and they're trying to build and to constantly swap in new drivers while you're trying to just build something going into arguably even more ambitious future. You need to get the foundation right, and you can't take a lot of risks with that. So I think they took their risk already with Maloney, and he frankly hasn't crashed very much. So he's been a fairly financially stable driver for them, which is not always the case with rookies. So I'm just saying, you know, they're going to do the real flaccid option and just run with those two.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree with you. I think Degrassi and Maloney are both returning next year. Because again, stability is exactly what this team needs. They're probably just biding their time until the Gen 4 era. But it's a pretty decent driver lineup. I mean, Maloney's been all right this year. He's probably been better than Beckmann, which I think was the benchmark for him. Just beat the other lesser rookie. And in a much less competitive car as well, he's put up basically the same results. So I think that, you know, he's
0 points.
0 points, 100%. Yeah.
We're still waiting for that final race to see who is the king of the rookies aside from Taylor Barnard. Who's the squire of the rookies?
The co-rookie, if you may. But I think Maloney, it's been an all right year. He hasn't broken a lot of equipment. And I think that him alongside Degrassi, who is just eternal, he's going to be here long after us. He was here long before us. I think they're a decent pairing, and there's nothing really much to write home about there. Yeah,
they're going to start outfitting his Gen 6 Evo with an oxygen tank to keep him going. His heart's going to be hooked up to the battery.
I have no change up on this lineup. Agreed with all the points that you've already said. I also think too, like, I think they're playing the longer game on San Maloney because he came out of here Formula 2 champion, Formula 3. What one was it?
No, he actually didn't get the Formula 2 champion because he decided that he was going to do the testing and everything for Lola and Apt, I believe. Is that right, SB? So he disqualified himself from the last races. He didn't participate, which
he didn't run those last races. That's what I do know.
And I think he theoretically could have won, but maybe because he didn't race in them, he didn't. He was just like, I'm going to revoke my title championship or charge from them. I think that's what it was. He was like, I'm just going to go full in on Formula E.
He was a bit of a long shot anyway. I don't think he was realistically going to get that title, but it does show that he is definitely committed to Formula E and this team.
Yeah. Which I think is awesome. Frankly, I know that
100%.
There's so many young drivers that are like looking at the F1 pipeline as like, oh, this is it. It's going to be me. And like, you have to remember, Mercedes has groomed an Italian child to just skip all of the hard work you've done to race in the most competitive rookie seat there was. Like it's pretty outlandish at this point to just expect that you're going to get plucked up. And if you're going to get plucked up, you're going to get it from like a cancer team like Alpine right now, who's like sporting to be the evil villains of Formula E with like Christian Horner and the entirety of that squad is just like kind of wretched looking at this point. So it's like, what future do you want in racing? Do you want a single-seater competitive series where you really have room to grow? You know, it's just it feels like it's so diminutive to their talent to just be so hung up. But that's what it takes to get into Formula One, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, these kids have worked basically their entire life. They put their family savings into getting them into Formula One. So it's understandable that they would try, you know, as hard as they can. But when you're Felipe Drugovich and have people throwing contracts at you, not just from Formula E, but IndyCar, you know, WEC, and you say, no, I want that Formula One seat. It's a little disrespectful, honestly. But, yeah. Good for Maloney.
Good for Maloney. Man, I got to lead off on the easy one And I'm so excited for this next team. SB, you want to take us on to Mahindra's future?
Yeah, I think Mahindra's future is Eduardo Mortara and Nick DeVries, because I think that this is probably the most underrated lineup on the grid. I mean, they're two world championship caliber drivers in a car capable of battling for wins. I mean, it's honestly a shame that DeVries wasn't able to get Monaco or Jakarta, because he was easily a favorite for those races. And I think next year they'll definitely break through. But no changes for me. This is a really strong lineup.
Yeah, Mahindra was on my list last year because they did so bad, and I kind of got oversold last year in hindsight to the lineup with these two drivers. This year, it's been a pleasant surprise, and next year, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing these drivers in the Mahindra seats. So yeah, I'm sticking with Ito and Nick the Teeth as well. Taylor, when you made this Photoshop doc, did you make Nick DeVries shorter?
I did. I made him tiny.
I was looking at the lineup there, and I'm like,
So yeah, I mean, that guy packs a punch. We saw it in Jakarta.
Yeah, dude.
He needed a mid-race snack. He took apart Jake Dennis's front wing.
The most psychotic move I've seen in Formula E all year. And it was just Nick DeVries losing control of his overtake.
Man, but the thing was, if he had just been 1 foot in front of Dennis and then cut over, that was easily his race.
Yeah,
he had done a great job.
It would have been the most exciting move of the season, but he just mistimed it just a little bit and made it the most embarrassing move of the season. I have no changes to Mahindra as well. I have Ito and the Teeth. And I also want to say, I think that Mahindra, I called this last year with Nissan, I think Mahindra is on the rise. I think that they are a potential champion team for next year. I think that they have done the work, and seeing just how quickly they've evolved and adapted to new rule set, the new specs and everything, like step by step, they're getting their software figured out. They're having far less issues, but the drivers and the communication with the team and the strategies that are going into the way that they're racing has been consistently growing. And I think between both Mortara and DeVries, I think they're going to be basically in podiums and wins more frequently than they have been maybe in their last 7 years. I think that next year could be a potential Mahindra Nissan story.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to come at the point in which Mahindra is considering leaving the sport as well. So I think that they've put a tremendous amount of work in, and I think the payoff is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's been a really long time coming for them, because, I mean, the last time they were consistently competing for championships was season 4, season 5-ish, with both Jerome D'Ambrosio and Felix Rosenqvist. And since then, they've just been, back markers, to say the least.
It's been where drivers go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking about like Alexander Sims. I'm talking Alex Lynn. I'm talking 2025 season championship winner Oliver Rowland died the most painful death anyone has ever seen there. He quit mid-season. He was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And ever since, it's been a rebuilding process for them. And frankly, I was blown away when I saw Mortara and DeVries sign on. And I knew that it was like a building moment and a building block, but I thought for sure they were going to take DeVries out back like halfway through the season last year. But they have persevered, and I'm so thankful, because it's made this season even more competitive when we didn't think it could be.
Well, from the highest potential team, let's shift gears to the dumpster fire foster child that is Maserati. Man. At least today, right now, they're Maserati. Who knows what they're going to end up? Who knows who's going to own them and take them away from the Formula E parents? This one, I feel weird about my picks just because there's so much uncertainty with like the politics of this team. But it has been, I think, confirmed that nice guy Nick Cassidy is going to be in one of those seats.
All right.
And the other one was a big question, and I'm curious. I'm almost upset that I'm going first here because I'm curious to see your guys' picks for these seats. This kind of seemed like a throwaway, more on just like the respect of the pedigree of his performance and his longevity. I think Jev might actually end up at that second Maserati seat. Maybe give it a go, see what happens with the team, see what happens with his performance. And that next season, if he's on Maserati, that may dictate where he goes, if he goes anywhere else in Formula E or if he hangs it up.
Yeah.
No.
That is a good team. That is a good team for them to start out a new maiden voyage with some rebrand and clearing of like they're basically they're like a wholesale item at Big Lots right now. You know, like they have sold the lot. They have sold, honestly, you know, with how much money I've put in the swear jar, it's probably enough to buy MSG Racing.
Honestly, I think at this point, Formula E will just be grateful to have anyone buy them.
Yes, dude. That's why they're bankrolling them. The rest of the paddock is pissed. Someone has to step up and do it, and I think that it will be a team that is of the Stellantis brand still, because they need to remain. And I know that Opal has been tossed in the mix, and I know that a couple of other ones, but I do think that Citroën will take over this racing team. I know that they're working, they have been a forefront EV program. Maserati, weirdly, was actually kind of a nice fit for the direction they were trying to take that brand to move into racing and to earn some wins to bring back the pedigree of racing that Maserati represented. But I think it's now time for Citroën, which is historically very dedicated to rally. I think it's a pretty good point. Additionally, I called it last year, Peugeot, I still think is the right call to go for Stellantis brands to move into Formula E. But for my drivers, I got nice guy Nick Cassidy. I think he has sent out his curse to Jaguar to continually struggle. But for my secondary seat, I have Stoffel Van Dorn.
Ooh.
I think that he has fallen a bit, doesn't quite have the grace, and I think he is one of those. I don't think that the team is inherently dissolving. I think someone is buying that team, and they need to have someone still there that understands the operational side of it as a driver. And I know that he's still fresh to it, but to basically have to clear the whole drivers, like both of the drivers out, to put in brand new drivers on top of a team, on top of a rebrand, and all of these different things. Like, a buyer of that team needs to have some kind of consistency to look at when it comes to the face and representation. I think Stoffel Van Dorn is a very easy one to approach and say, oh yeah, he raced for McLaren. Oh yeah, like he's a world champion. I think he's going to park it there. But I'm also not super confident in that. I think that Jev is probably an all-time high option for them to keep that going and keep that organized. But I don't know. Well, we'll see.
You know, I do agree that Maserati is going to be bought out soon. I'm hoping it's before next season. It's looking like it's going to be Stellantis and it's going to be Citroën, obviously coming in, which is interesting. Again, I do also have to agree that I did prefer Maserati because it's actually a car we get here in the United States. Never seen a Citroën in my life, but never seen an Opal either. But you know, as long as it's under some kind of management and not in the rocky state that it is right now, I will be satisfied. Unfortunately, though, Taylor, I do have to agree with Dallas here. I think that Nick Cassidy and Jean-Eric Verne will be the perfect lineup to take this team into Gen 4. Look, man.
Coming in and sniping me down on my Jaguar Stellantis picks. Okay.
Look, man. I think that I really don't buy the Jean-Eric Verne out of Formula E rumors because he is Mr. Stellantis in Formula E. He has been with Stellantis since Season 2 DS Virgin, which was technically branded a Citroën. So he was the OG Citroën driver. But in my opinion, I think that Jev is the GOAT of Formula E. That might be a bit of a hot take,
yes.
but
no, 100% agree.
Yeah,
there's never been one driver that has performed so consistently well in every single season.
Absolutely agree. And through the car changes, Degrassi, Buemi, they've gone down a little bit. They've lost their stock a little bit. Evans wasn't that great in season 1. DaCosta as well, or in Gen 1, sorry. But Jev has stayed consistent throughout all of the cars, throughout all of the seasons. And although he hasn't won in 2 seasons now, I think he's still very much at the top of his game and still very much capable of winning races. And I think that a lineup of Cassidy and Verne is probably a pretty strong one. It just depends on if DS, Maserati, Stellantis can just get a good package put together.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. John-Eric Verne, he's right at home. He's where he's expected to be if he ends up on this Maserati/TBD team. We're talking about some of our picks and the teams that they go to feel like a significant downgrade. Do you guys feel the same way about Nick Cassidy going from Envision on, his sun was rising. He was with Jaguar last year. It seemed like, that was the champion. This year he's fallen off.
Clutch defeat from the jaws of victory over at Jaguar.
Yeah. But do you feel like this is like a big downgrade for him and he kind of has to rebuild personally joining this team?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, for me, it feels, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. For me, it feels a lot like Daniel Ricciardo leaving Red Bull to go to Renault. Like, he's taking a chance on himself. He left a place where he wasn't going to be the clear number 1, and now he's going to another place where, although it is lesser equipment, obviously, even that's debatable, though, because Jaguar has had a pretty package for this last season, and they're going to have the same one for the next season. And Stellantis, or DS, the powertrains have looked decent. They've had a bit of a higher peak. So if Maserati can channel the success that DS has had this season, I have faith that Cassidy has made a good move. But again, it all just depends on what happens to this team, who the key personnel are, and just where this team goes from here.
Yep. Entirely agree. I didn't know I was the one making the wild card selection. I thought mine was actually pretty conservative, but yours are so plausible that it hurts, I'm the idiot here. Okay.
Again, though, we just gotta wait a few weeks for us all to be proven exactly wrong.
Exactly. Nissan SB. Oh wait, hold on. Where are we?
I think
Nissan. You're going me. I get to talk about Nissan. Yeah.
Only fitting.
Man. Only fitting. Yes. Oh.
Lead us on.
Oliver Rowland will remain at Nissan. This was his homecoming. Yeah, you get that back over my seat there.
Not to foreshadow who I pick.
It's a bold pick.
Oliver Rowland. I know that there's people that are like, oh, he could go to Porsche. Oh, he could do all these things. I think Oliver Rowland is a family man. He believes in trust. When he has jeopardized trust, he's had Mahindra experiences. He came back to Nissan and they gave him something to be proud about once again. And they gave him equipment to be proud about once again. I don't know if Nissan is going to continue to keep going up the order with next year as all the other teams also rise. I think it's just going to be incredibly competitive, but I think he has a huge monkey off his back of am I good enough as a professional driver to win a world championship? He did it. He has a trophy for his kids to look at for the rest of time. But the second seat is the one that is in question. And I think that it is very, very confusing to kind of predict because, they brought Norman Nato back in, who was also a journeyman of this season, of this series. He was at Nissan. They brought him back. They re-resurrected him, and he has blown it. Frankly, top to bottom, he's blown it. I have always had a kind of I think there's more in Norman than most people see. I think that he probably has higher potential than most people see when it comes to this series, but he's just never had the consistency. So that's why for the second seat, I have Norman Nato. I think that basically Nissan needs to keep something somewhat consistent for themselves. They're not really the type of team that does like high kind of stakes cuts and things like that. In fact, primarily it has been the opposite. They've kept people on for longer than they've needed to. And I think that maybe that's actually what Norman needs to feel a little more confident in his seat, because he's not also been getting the same strategies that have been putting Oliver Rowland to the front, because they've been so focused on getting Oliver a championship that he has frankly been a very second fiddle as far as the race engineers and the calls that have been put forward for him. So I think that ultimately they're going to, take the superstitious route and be like, well, if we won a driver's championship with him, even though he didn't contribute to the team's championship, let's just see if it works next year. Because I know that there's better options, but I don't know if there's better Nissan options, because also their graphic designer has gotten really good at drawing anime versions of Norman Nato.
So good.
Like you can't just drop, like Jev in there and expect him to draw a cool anime Jev, He's not going to look as cool with a guitar.
Well, the thing is too about Nato, like, don't completely write him off yet. There's still a race weekend to be had. Like, he could still contribute to that team's championship.
Yeah, exactly right. And maybe now that Oliver Rowland has the championship in the bag, they'll go for like a team focused approach to be like, get team's championship, both of you, and they'll secure it and they'll lock it in. Like, I don't know, but I do know that weirdly Norman Nato will pull it out when there's no stakes and just like stick it. Like Rome last year, or not last year, I think it was first year of the Gen 3. He managed to, I think, get P2, but right behind Dennis, and was like borderline going to overtake him.
With a broken front wing too.
With a broken front wing, yeah. So I think that there's these times where it's like, what are you doing, Norman? Why are you winning now? It doesn't matter where he wins. But I don't know. Maybe that's the move. But I am curious to see what happens in London. I'm not gonna, say he's gonna blow me away, because every time I get my hopes up, I'm gonna get let down.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, for me, obviously I have Oliver Rowland sticking around. He's probably single-handedly keeping Nissan as a brand alive.
Yeah. Sadly. And they laid off like 10,000 people to keep Oliver Rowland in a championship fight.
Hey, he is bringing them pride. Probably the only pride that company has had the past few years. But honestly, Nissan as a whole, I think, is a team thoroughly invested in Formula E. I mean, just looking at their marketing, their social media, you mentioned like the anime posters. Everything they've been doing has just been incredible. They truly value their Formula E program. And for those reasons, I think that Oliver Rowland is a great number one driver. Okay, he can carry the team by himself. We've seen it this year. Surely next year is the year Norman Nato finally takes a look in the mirror, a long, hard look in the mirror, and says in a very thick French accent, is this really the best thing for me? Yeah. And look, again, I've been critical of Norman Nato, and some of it is unfair, but a lot of it is also valid. He's had so many top-tier opportunities in Formula E. I mean, he's been with Venturi, with Nissan, with Andretti, with Nissan again, in a championship-winning car, no less. Saying this now, saying that he's not going to be in a seat next year, he's going to go out and win London, get a seat for next year, if not with Nissan, then with like Porsche or somebody, because he just always seems to pull it out. But in my opinion, I think that Nissan goes with a bit of a experimental option, an experiment they've already tried a little bit. I think they go with Sergio Sette Camera for next year. Now, this might be a bit of a biased pick, because I am pretty high on Sergio Sette Camera. I think that he is an underrated driver. He was borderline better than Tictum at ERT. But yeah, Sergio Sette Camera, I think that he deserves an opportunity in a top tier ride. It's about time. And he's great at qualifying. He just didn't really get to show everything that he had in Berlin because of just the chaos and the rain and the peloton and everything. I think over the course of a full season, they can trial him out, see if he works. If he doesn't work, then they can reevaluate their options for Gen 4, especially because we've heard some rumors lately about potentially poaching Jake Dennis away, or we heard some rumors a few months back about potentially signing Mitch Evans for that Gen 4 era. But for this next season, again, it's an experiment. If he does good, that's great. You can keep him around. But if he doesn't do good, that's also fine. You have Oliver Rowland next to him to carry the team where he can't.
Ultimately, if it's not Norman Nato, I desperately wanted to be Sergio Sette Camera to echo everything you said about him. I have always been a big advocate for him, and he has just always been on the worst side of a racing team. And like even being a high performer, he's just been behind it all.
I think it was all the way back in Sao Paulo. They had a cut to the Nissan paddock, Tommaso Volpe, and sit right next to him and some cherry blossoms was Sergio Sette Camera. And I was stoked for him. I was like, oh my goodness, he's actually on like a legitimate team now. Like, good for him. But then taking the snapshot of Berlin, now you could argue that collision with David Beckmann was just a personal vendetta that he needed to square away.
I think we all feel like doing that to David Beckmann sometimes. It's all right.
He came out of nowhere. There was nothing I could do. It's just so crazy. He drives like this.
But even with that considered, I know it was just a weekend. I know it's been a while since he's been in a Formula E race, but that made me really nervous seeing his outing in that weekend. And I don't think I'm as high as on Sergio Sette Camera as you guys are. Because for my seat, of course, Daddy Roland, you don't win a world championship and then dip out. But I think we're entering a new era in Oliver Rowland's life. Last year, he had Sasha Fenestraz. It didn't work out. The father-son relationship wasn't there. So then this year they bring in Norman Nato, kind of that perennial other guy. I think Norman Nato's role has essentially been like Oliver Rowland's adult brother that is just kind of down on his
weird uncle. Uncle.
No, not even weird uncle. Like a adult brother. They grew up together, but Norman Nato he's down. He's down on his luck. And he keeps telling Ollie, like, I'm gonna get back on my feet. I just need to stay on your couch for a little bit longer. Just
yes,
keep going.
This is the energy.
And just selling that. And it's been a whole season of like, hey man, I just need to figure it out. I just had this job in Sao Paulo. Actually went really well. I'm gonna figure it out.
Just one more race, man.
But Oliver Rowland is a dad, and he has his daughter who we've seen so many times. He's got one in the oven, and he wants more kids. And so I think what Ollie Rowland did, looking at that rookie test from Berlin, I think he is going to bring in a new racing son in Gabriele Mini. And I think they're going to do the Fenestraz experiment over again with a more experienced, wiser daddy at the helm to see what this kid can do.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah, he was super impressive.
That's not a bad call, Dallas.
Yeah.
Maybe the best analogy for Norman Nato at that team, too, is the weird couch surfing brother, the weird uncle to his kids that they can't quite figure out. For a second, based on what you were saying, I thought you were going to say you're going to bring in Sam Bird. And I was actually shocked that no one said they were going to bring in Sam Bird because we forget that he is currently driving a Nissan powertrain.
That is true.
We have all just communicated. We all just said he is going to retire at a resort and sell feet pics for the rest of his career. Like that.
He's earned it, man.
That's the future. He's earned it. But I know he doesn't want to give up. So I'm sure he'll be back at the cusp of Gen 4 to do some potential schmoozing of the future options.
I do hope he does, because man, I really want to meet Sam Bird, and he's gone now. This is going to be, the opportunity might not be there. So I really do hope he sticks around as a reserve driver, at least for someone, because he's just elevated every operation he's at, or every driver he's worked with. Sorry.
That's it. Well, then this gives us no pleasure to now have the end of this musical chairs happen, and to see which drivers don't exist in a Formula E future for some of us. SB, I got bad news. You're the first pick on this one. You're going to set the tone.
Yeah, well, I already know that you guys disagree with me, because there is a very high profile name vacant from my list so far. And it is not Pascal Wehrlein. Pascal Wehrlein I do have going to Porsche, though. He is the Mr. Porsche, as I like to say. He's been beyond impressive. The mainframe, the electronic servers that they have that they've invested in to keep him running. Definitely. And y'all have said, Porsche is maybe one of the more boring teams on the grid, and Pascal is exactly what Porsche needs right now. Just someone quiet, collected, mostly collected, and I mean, he's probably going to get at least, if not P2, then at least a top 3 finish in points this year. And next to him, I have Antonio Felix da Costa returning for one more year. This may be a bit too conservative on my part, but look, I mean, for the longest time, we thought it was Porsche trying to get rid of da Costa and replace him with Muller. Muller just isn't ready to Porsche right now, and I think that's fair. I don't think Porsche has a key prospect ready to put in that second seat. I mean, they somehow fumbled getting Roland, Cassidy, and Barnard. And when you lose all 3 of those guys, and your next prospect is Nico Muller, I feel like just sticking with Antonio Felix da Costa is the best thing you have right now. I mean, they're favorites for the team's title this year, and although they're not getting along, I think that there's going to be a meeting at London with the 3 of them, Wehrlein, da Costa, and Florian Modlinger, is it, who runs the Porsche team?
Mm-hmm.
And look, at least for one more year, they got to put their differences aside, and I think da Costa will agree to that, because you look at his opportunities right now, Porsche is one of the best teams on the grid, arguably the best. And leaving that team to go to a Jaguar or an Envision or any of the other open seats right now, it's a definite step backwards. And I think that at least to close out this last season, I think he takes one more year and reevaluates his choices at the Gen 4 era.
Yeah. I mean, da Costa, having that risky start kind of at Porsche was certainly something to be seen. I remember when we were at Portland, and it was at that time at which da Costa was just not performing. I remember just seeing Florian Modlinger just blasting SIGs. Like he was blasting SIGs, like walking back and forth behind the podium stage as Jake Dennis was getting his trophy, and the core stars, Envision and Cassidy and everyone were running up to go spray champagne. He was cruising like a little creature, just blasting SIGs, and I was like, that guy has got a da Costa problem, and it's turned around. It's turned around for him. So I think that what you're saying, SB, is entirely likely.
Mm-hmm.
Very likely, but also, if we flip it, Pascal's not going anywhere. He's property of Porsche. He is a multi-trillion-dollar at this point R&D experiment.
Valid.
They are not going to get rid of the most valuable.
The amount of forests burning to the ground in order to keep him running.
The GPUs that we don't see in server farms across Germany, they're keeping him going. But I think going all the way back to starting with Andretti and thinking da Costa is going to land there, I think it's going to be a clean swap. I think da Costa is going to Andretti and Muller is going to step into that role. Now, SB made a great point that Muller is going to have this proving ground next year at Cairo with Dan Ticktum to determine those two. But I think it may be a thing of desperation, depending on how bad the morale is with Antonio Felix da Costa if he's looking to jump ship.
That's fair.
I think they have to scoop up Muller because he's kind of the only one left on this list that knows his powertrain and can perform. And I think he's a little bit more, he's colder than da Costa, a little bit more calculated in the sense of like just doesn't drive with his nuts out and trust instincts. And so I think that could potentially be a good compliment, whether it's next year or the year after, if he ends up being kind of that high ticket item for them in 27.
That's totally fair. I could see it.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, frankly, I'm in the camp that I think da Costa hates it at Porsche. Like, truly, I think I think Porsche wants to keep him at this point, but da Costa's like, I want to be my own man. He's a free spirit, shackled down by German rigidity, you know? And I think it's hard for him to feel like he is really a part of the team, or if he is just, again, like a training exercise for Pascal. So at Porsche, though, you know, I'm fairly certain that that Porsche has a headquarters in Germany where they are boring to the Earth's crust to try to like figure out some sort of geothermal energy to power Pascal's servers, like some Dr. Evil. I have no idea, but Pascal's in that seat. We know that he's hardwired to it. And for the second seat, guess what, guys? I think Jev might just sit there and say, let's pick up some pieces.
Oh man.
I know. Crazy. Again, this is I went 50% conservative, okay? But if I were in Jev's position and I'm like, hey, all of the hard work and energy I put into the DS kind of franchise and team has now just been basically scooped and just like tossed aside. I think I deserve better than to go to an experiment. An experiment in driving and all sorts of financial woes. I think that Jev could sit down and say, I'm submitting a ticket to drive for you guys to Porsche, and they would take him on the spot.
Honestly, I gotta say, this is a lineup I would love to see because both of them are just so talented in Formula E.
Yeah.
And I think Jev in a Porsche would be incredible to see again. I just can't see this happening though, because Jev has just so much ties to Stellantis in both like Formula E and the WEC. You gotta remember, like, he's embedded in that Peugeot program. So I don't know what that would mean for him, but seeing him go from a Peugeot to a Porsche 963, maybe, I mean, I would be open to that.
That's so that was my thought process too, is the Stellantis brands aren't really bringing him that much right now.
That's true.
You know, the Peugeot program has had pretty interesting peaks in WEC, but simultaneously they're consistently like just kind of in the mix. He has so many ties to them and has truly done so much to help build up that company and build up a lot of their brands. But he is consistently now just in this weird whirlwind. So he's either, I think you guys are right in that he's either just going to take on whatever Maserati becomes alongside Nick Cassidy. But I think the best seat for him in all of Formula E is right next to Pascal, because I actually think they complement each other driving style wise. I think that Jev has adopted enough patience over the past decade of racing in Formula E to complement the incredibly precise and also kind of brutal driving styles that Pascal puts out. And you see Jev kind of navigating around that regularly and able to snipe into points and play team game a lot of times to help his team almost perform outside of its weight class pretty regularly. Also insanely consistent, where
Yes.
da Costa has been in and out of that. And if there's anything Porsche likes, it's consistency. And that's why I'm like, man, if Jev leaves, Porsche would kind of be or if DaCosta leaves, Porsche would be quite foolish not to pick up any free agent on the market and to know who potential free agents are and to not offer big time opportunities for people like Jev.
Yeah, honestly, like I was saying earlier, when I was talking about DaCosta, like it is just insane to me with Porsche, with the amount of money they have, with leading the team's title right now with the best package on the grid. How did they not get Cassidy or Barnard or Roland? Roland, I can understand, but Cassidy and Barnard, how do you let them go to Penske?
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sit right with me.
They put everything into DaCosta. And maybe that's DaCosta's reason for staying, is because he feels guilty that they've basically ruined their team to keep him on. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think that I think DaCosta wants to be in a team where he can be a number one driver, and I think that basically he's ready to bump into Mitch Evans, or he's maybe looking at Mitch Evans up and down and saying, like, if I am not better than him, then I shouldn't be the number one driver. But he also, I know, wants to be at a team that pushes him, because he's always been in those situations and consistently has kind of thrived in them, even when he was racing neck and neck with Jev at DS. So I don't know. I think that we have quite an exciting next year as far as the seats go.
For sure. I think that no matter what happens, I think it'll definitely be a good year of racing, because quite frankly, this year was pretty good. And I think that, the calendar next year and, another year with the Gen 3 Evo, teams are finally starting to get a grip with it. I think that it's going to be exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to it, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I as well. Dallas, whose is your favorite grid of all of the grids? Like, maybe that's the next game that we set up and do, is like looking top to bottom at these grids, being like, I think SB10s is the most accurate. I think that's what it's going to end up being. But I'm like, man, I would love nothing more than to see Jake Dennis and DaCosta racing side by side. Like, and that would be
that's just kind of a wishful pick for me. I led with my heart in that first team. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen. We collectively have no idea what's going to happen. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is like the highest potential of accuracy? Like, aside from the teams that are like foregone conclusions, Lola, I feel like, is pretty locked in. What are the other ones? Mahindra as well. Yeah. But like, they're who is my favorite? Who got this down? I mean, I think of all the three grids that we have created in this conversation, I would be stoked for any of them and any combination of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that we're going to have exactly any combination of them, as a matter of fact. I like now, just like looking at this board, I'm like, oh, dude, Norman Nato could easily get plugged in that Envision also as the number 2 driver. Like, that's another option. But this is it. It's like a weird puzzle that you're putting together, just trying to figure out what fits into what. And like, I think it's very possible Jake Hughes just gets dumped. But I think that there's quite a future for the next year, and I'm just so excited to get through to London and see who those performers are bidding for their seat and making it happen. Man, this has been a blast, you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to say it's been great to come on here and talk some Formula E with you guys, because silly season, man. It's definitely one of the more talk-worthy things about Formula E. And I think all of us presented some really good possibilities. And I really do want to see who gets the most correct out of all of us, because I really don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, we'll put up a scoreboard following the end and conclusion of all seats accounted for, in order to make sure that the future is decided.
See, the thing is with Formula E, like, sometimes they don't even get like resolved 100% in place until after preseason testing. Yeah, like this last year,
I know.
Sergio Sente Camera was a Kiro driver until Jarama, dude. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. So
that really puts it in perspective.
Yeah, we'll figure out what that all means. And I'm sure by the time Sao Paulo races next year.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, that will be plenty of time for this episode to be up. So as a viewer or as a listener, leave a comment and give us your takes. One thing I wish, maybe I'll do it just for giggles, plug Pascal in and see what Pascal.exe would pick for a team or for the teams, the lineups. I do also want to just like take a moment and pay homage to these drivers that didn't make our cuts. Sandberg looks like he's on his way out. David Beckmann, I mean, good trying, but honestly, you belong at that nightclub that your parents bought you. Like, stick in your lane.
Yes.
SB and Taylor, Robin Frines, you think that he's done? Feel like he's leaving something on the table potentially. And then for myself and SB, we think that Nato's on the out. So
yeah,
I'm just really glad that we were so varied with this, and it wasn't an hour and a half of us being like, yep, this team's going to be the same. This team's going to be the same. So yeah, this was great. This was absolutely great.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just like, I'm shocked that the unanimous person that's out is Sam Bird.
It's like, yeah, it's sad, but
it's hurtful.
It's a bit of a foregone conclusion.
But yeah, it's just like no one really fits him at this point in his career, right? Like, like he could take that Nissan second seat, but frankly, I think that they're building for a future, and it's like, man, it's hard to figure that out for him. So yeah, bizarre turn of events. I'm sure he'll be a beautiful pundit for Formula E next year.
I'd love
he's going to do tons of commentary. I think that's probably his future of Formula E is personality. That's going to probably be giving us ins and outs and talking with all the drivers. He's probably maybe of all of the grid the most familiar with each of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just looking at our list here, like, I look at mine and I'm like, wait, are we really only going to have one rookie on the grid next year? Because my only one was Frederick Vesti, but there are several key names, like you mentioned, Dallas, Gabriel Mini, and several other names, Felipe Drugovich as well, Heuer Porsche. Really, anyone could jump in. It could be a name that we aren't even considering, like, a Jehan Daruvala. No one expected him to jump into Formula E a few years back.
Yeah, one of the greatest signings in Formula E history.
That was an incredible signing. David Beckmann, I don't think anyone really expected him to jump in either. So it could just be someone completely out of the blue and leave someone like Jake Hughes or Stoffel Van Dorn out of Formula E. We just have to wait and see.
Yep.
We just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Wow. Well, thank you all for committing your time to listening with us. And we want to make sure that we are giving the biggest shout out possible for SB10's channel. If you have not viewed or absorbed any of his content and somehow managed to find us, but not him, please go get yourself informed. I was telling him earlier, like, one of the highlights of my journey getting into Formula E as deeply as I have was waking up at 2 a.m. to the Formula E iceberg video that was presented, and I think it's one of the best pieces of Formula E content and information distilled into a very digestible. How long is the video, SB10? It's like
I think it was like 50 or something minutes, honestly.
Yeah, like an hour or so. Yeah. But it's a really interesting journey into the depths of like the history and the inner workings and the weirdness that Formula E has had essentially its entire life as a racing series. So huge shout out for everything that you've put up on your channel, SB10. I think it's fantastic to have like a real leader in the content and the information that's being presented for Formula E. We feel grateful to have had you on and to have seen your prediction for the future here.
No, huge thank you to you and Dallas, of course, for allowing me to come on here. It's been really fun to talk with you guys. You guys are awesome people, awesome creators in the Formula E community. And if you guys have somehow come here from me and haven't subscribed yet, dude, definitely subscribe because these guys are awesome. They're charismatic. They are funny. They are everything you'd want in a Formula E podcast. And definitely stay tuned for what these guys are doing in the future.
Yeah, and
thank you so much.
One last fluff of like, I don't think you've understand like the service that you've done for us in coming on, because this is without a doubt like the most intellectually well-researched, like,
oh man,
actually like have like a Formula E conversation with some depth, not just us poking fun and just trying to pull jokes out. So we'll see how the algorithm and how people respond to it. But I think this is a great like collab of the creators in the space, and we hope to do it again for sure.
No, definitely. I'd love to chat with you guys some more about Formula E. This was awesome, great fun. And I think you guys are underselling yourselves a little bit. I think that
hold on a second.
No, you guys are definitely knowledgeable about Formula E, really knowledgeable about Formula E, and it was great to chat with you guys.
Well, SB,
thanks so much.
Yep, thank you again. His channel, again, on the off chance that you haven't found his first, it's going to be down in the description. Also, just on YouTube, SB10_FE. We're going to get out of here. Shout out to H Tricky for doing our intro and outro music. And Taylor, you and I have a date post London to wrap up this season.